to the MegaMonsterCast, where today we are talking about episode 17
17.
of, yep, 17 of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I am Nick, with me are Alex and Josh.
I threw up a little bit in my mouth.
All right, right on. That's a great way to start the episode. Uh, yeah, this is kind of like a two-parter, and we're doing both this episode and episode 18's recording back to back. Um, so this episode is all setup. I feel like it's really strong setup because it's all about that they found the new pilot for the Avas, and that something happened to Ava Unit 4, where uh, when they were testing out the is it S2 engine?
Yeah.
Yeah, that it was it basically nuked. And so they're trying to deal with the fallout of that. Um, they're getting ready for Unit 3 to go into usage, and they found a pilot for it, which by the end of the episode, they never actually say it's Toji, but they've so strongly set up that it's Toji, considering this entire episode is like heavily focusing on him. That,
What?
yeah. Like, I would love to meet somebody who didn't realize Toji was going to be the pilot.
I mean, he's the only other person we really know.
Yep. Well, I mean, we have like a couple other characters, but he's the only one that, like, again, gets heavy focus this episode.
I really thought it was going to be the class president.
I'm trying to think if that was in the Angelic Days manga. I don't think that was. But yeah. So, our episode begins with Misato talking to, is it Seilei or like I think it's Seilei, right? That she's talking to, and she's talking,
I believe so, yeah.
yeah, and she's talking through the destruction of. Well, she's talking about the patterns they've observed with angels. That this last angel tried to take over the Avas, and that up until now there didn't seem to be any sort of like concern, like any sort of planned effort from the angels, but they're worried that that's where things are going, which, considering what we know and what I've talked about, I feel like that's strongly what happens from this point onward, is that the angels, in some capacity, start building off of what's begun to work. So it's also them strongly hinting at what's going to happen next episode with the next angel. But before that, we get a little focus on Toji and a reminder that Toji's sister was hospitalized because of an angel attack. And
Ow.
we find out that Ray is skipping school again because she's
God
a
damn it.
problem child.
Not really a child.
How will your husband, Dad, ever feel about that?
Wow. Did you hear that, folks? People in the comments, Alex doesn't think that clones are allowed to be called children.
Well, she is not.
All right, what is she then? You go ahead and you put your political agenda forward.
Wow.
Really pushing it, aren't you, Alex?
Yeah, okay.
Is this a commentary on that she's an albino? Because if so, we've never heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
How dare you
At that
imply
point,
that?
yeah, who do you think this is, Anne Hathaway?
Yeah.
We're bringing this feud back.
Anne Hathaway, you will eventually acknowledge Alex and his
Gonna be
hatred of
terrible.
you.
Yeah.
Josh and I have
Me.
nothing against you. It's just Alex.
Yeah, we love you.
Based on how many times I've brought it up. Okay.
How psyched would you be, though, if Anne Hathaway reached out to you specifically because of this?
I'm not responding to that.
I'd be fucking thrilled.
She's like, hey, we need to meet up so we can bury the hatchet on this.
They
Just saying.
meet up. She commits the worst kind of war crime possible. And it's like, it's been true all along.
Yep.
No one will believe you, though, and just leaves.
hmm so we also see the destruction of Ava Unit 4 and the destruction of just a big chunk of Nevada. Which, I mean, hey, if you're going to nuke part of the United States, Nevada's the part you do it in.
Yeah. It's not like
I mean,
we've done it before.
very Manhattan Project.
hmm Which, I mean, that has to, like, it has to be a ref, like, at least a nod to that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Manhattan's not even in Nevada anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah, now, because of the destruction of Unit 4, they're sending Unit 3 to Japan because they're going to consolidate their forces into a centralized location, basically. Because they've already kind of been doing that, so why not just put all your eggs in one basket? Especially if you know that that basket is where the angels attack constantly. Like,
I
why
mean,
are
you
the
do
other...
need a greater defense there, apparently.
Yeah, like, why would you put the Avas any place other than Japan if you know that's where they're going to keep going?
So they could import them and then put tariffs on them.
More politics, yes.
Topical.
Aha!
We also get Ray floating around in a fucking tube again, because we haven't gotten that for part of an episode. That was last episode that we got that, right? She was floated in a tube last episode too, right?
A lot of her.
Yeah. They also talk about the dummy system, right?
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
so.
Which, do we get, again, I've watched these two episodes in close proximity to each other. Do we get the payoff for what the dummy system is in this episode, or is it the next episode where they get more into what it is?
I think it's later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we find out that Toji eats like shit at school because he doesn't have a good home life. His sister is in the hospital. His parents are absentees, so he has to buy school food, and everyone hates it. Also, Asuka and Shinji are being shipped by their class. Which, like, yeah, I'm gonna be
I mean,
honest.
we get that from the show later, anyways.
Yeah, like, yeah. Well, honestly, it just makes sense. Like, those two are constantly spending time around each other. They're high schoolers. If I was in their class, I'd be like, those two are clearly together, right? Like, I'm not crazy. These two are like dating, right? I'd like turn to someone that's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're dating. And then like a week later, I'd find out they're not. I'm like, but they like want to, right? And then like I'd have to deal with the whole like someone tells me like, no, it's complicated. They live together and they live with an adult neither one of them is related to, and then I'd just kind of say I don't want to understand anymore and walk away. I'd be
Your
like
home
this
life is a mess.
I'd be like, this is too complicated for me. I'm gonna go play video games. And then I'd go home and play my fucking PlayStation 2, and that's how I would deal with it.
Hell yeah.
Never seen you identify with Shinji more.
Oh no, I'm not identifying with Shinji. I'm identifying with the kid who sits 2 seats back from Shinji, who doesn't want to deal with the bullshit. Like the normal kid who's sitting in the classroom, like, why are I, why are so many of these fucking Ava pilots all in my class? Why is it that it's just this one class? There's 3
Figuring out
other
that you've also
classes.
been selected.
Am I an Ava?
And then like Toji gets picked. He was like, hey, are we all like? Is this just a room they put the potential Ava pilots in? Does that mean I'm gonna die inside of a mech someday? I'm not ready for this.
There's
Why
a
does it feel like a
non-zero
corral?
chance.
Yeah, this just ends with like a bunch of. By the time Toji gets picked, you have to imagine the rest of his class are
Hey,
all having existential crises
you okay?
about this. Like, there's no kid in that room who feels okay after Toji gets picked and immediately almost dies. Slash maybe
Well,
dies.
maybe he should have done some Dance Dance Revolution training.
Maybe he should have. Maybe he should have brought a fucking blowtorch in so he could have cut his way out of the entry plug.
Oh, he couldn't. He was inside, fluids.
Yeah.
I hope he drowns.
He's so much more likable than he was at the start of the series. We can't like put that on him at this point.
Nah, I can't watch me.
So how do you guys like the fact that when they show up to Ray's place, they just start cleaning up for her?
Nah, you don't do that. That's an invasion of privacy. I don't care if it is cleaning.
I mean, it's better than the last time where Shinji was just found holding her underpants.
Well, yeah, but it's probably why he went in there too clean. Is try to find more.
And there's a non-0% chance of that. Also, Toji does not want to be here longer than he has to be. He's like, can we just leave already? I did what I was supposed to do. We're in a girl's apartment and she's not here. This is weird. Shinji, why are you just cleaning? And Ray, when she comes in and finds out that he cleaned up for her, is super embarrassed.
Opens up trash bag, dumps it all out.
I would have fucking
I was
loved that.
saving those.
I would have loved that moment where she just undoes all of Shinji's work in front of him in a second. That would have been
You are
fucking
worthless.
hilarious.
This is the way I wanted it.
You don't understand. I have ADHD and now I don't know where anything is anymore.
We didn't touch anything but the trash.
No,
That was my home.
you don't understand. Anything getting moved and suddenly everything's moved. My
I'm
brain
gonna have
only
a
works
kid
one
one
way.
day, and he's gonna clean it up.
And I'm going to yell at that kid if he puts things where I don't want them to be, but I'm not going to tell him where they're supposed to go. Yes.
And that's when he found out Ray was his mother.
Just all loops back together.
Huh.
Yeah. Gendo does some shady shit in the car with his second in command, who clearly doesn't really want to be there, but they just kind of have to deal with each other.
And half hurt.
Yeah. I also love like, I can never remember the good human's name, but I love how he's like, this was a major catastrophe, and Gendo's like, nah, no one I knew died. It's cool. I didn't know the people working in that facility, so we're good. I hired them, but I never spoke to them in person. We're fine. You didn't speak to them either. Why are you upset? This is just how our job works.
This is the way.
Let's go read the Dead Sea Scrolls for a while and see what else is supposed to happen. You like doing that. You like knowing about the future and the ominous shit that we're going to deal with for the rest of this series. Uh, Also, we get Kaji hitting on
Hey.
a coworker yet again. Um, Spoilers, he's apparently not got a gaydar because he hits on the one woman who is not interested in men, and that's canon, Alex.
Yeah.
Who?
The short-haired,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's just like a thing they do for her character later on. She's confirmed that,
Progressive.
yeah, yeah, this show is progressive. It has queer representation.
Good.
It's progressive. It has queer representation in a show where a man touches, not a man, a teenage boy touches the clone of his mom's boob.
Progressive.
Alex is just already done with this episode.
I'm so done.
Yeah, yeah. Now this is the modern audience. This is the show the modern audience wants.
You want to talk about melon farming? That's how they humanize Kaji. He likes to fucking grow melons in his garden.
Why did my dumbass think you said melanin? I was like, wait, I don't remember this.
Kaji's out there. You don't understand. If I get tan enough, eventually I will be able to go hang out in Harlem.
In a truck.
Okay, I went with a generic thing. You went with specifically Tech.
Yeah.
Shout out our friend Tech. He's in a truck right now, probably. Doesn't matter when you're watching this episode. He's still probably in a truck. We love you, Tech. We love and respect you.
You know, Tech, I just want to say in the bottom of my heart, right here, right now, whenever you eventually pass of old age or diabetes, we're going to bury you in a semi truck.
This is such a weird episode. We're gonna have to this is what we're gonna. For the viewers out there, I'm grasping at straws trying to think of what to say because this is all a setup episode and there's not a whole lot that actually happens. The fucking episode is we find out Toji's gonna pilot an Ava, and we find out that Kaji is trying to be a better dad for Shinji than Shinji's dad was, but that's kind of already the ship sailed at this point.
Yeah, you could shoot Shinji and you'd still be a better father.
Yeah, and we find out about the new Ava, and the entire setup is clearly the Ava's something's gonna go wrong with the Ava because we're setting up too much that Toji's gonna pilot it, and we keep talking about how the Ava's seeming to adapt. Like this is all just a setup for something horrible will happen next episode. We all know this to be true. Anyway, the episode ends with Toji shooting a basketball in a really long
With a
shot.
gun. Oh.
Yep. So yeah, I appreciate this episode as part of a two-parter. I think on its own, it's really weak. I don't think a whole
Yeah,
lot
if this was
actually
just a one
happens.
episode and done, it would have been terrible.
Yeah.
There's no major fight.
I mean, you don't need a major fight. The problem is not a whole lot. It's all just set up for Toji becoming the pilot, and it's
Alex, there's an
all
internal fight.
yeah
Uh,
between Kaji
So-
and his resentment of his melons not growing enough.
Yeah,
The soil isn't rich enough for his melons to be growing, and it's frustrating to him.
yeah, he'll never be tan enough now.
Yes. So anyway, yeah. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of this episode on its own. I think it works really well when you pair it with the next episode, but on its own, it's kind of a weak episode. Not a whole lot happens. there's a lot of talking, but the broad strokes basically boil down to Kaji's going to become the pilot of the Ava. Something happened to one of the two other Avas that they had been working on. It involves some sort of power source, which is going to play a big role. The other Avas being moved to Japan, and maybe things are going to move forward with like the emotional development of the core cast.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys want to chip in on this one? Any final thoughts you have on this?
God, I hope nothing bad happens still.
That would be a shame.
Yep. It's Toji. He's too important
He
to get
is
hurt.
one of the characters
His sister was
of all time.
hospitalized. We can't have something bad happen to him if his sister was hospitalized. That would be too
He's
much
a
for his parents we've never
character.
met. Think about his parents we've never been exposed to before. What would they feel if something happened to both of their children?
Probably be relieved. Or sad that no longer have that dependent money.
Yeah. Anyway, tune in next time. Bye bye.
Bye.